All right, good morning all to agents. This is Kevin Lauren. I'm the Director of Training and Marketing here. And today we're going to go over open houses, the best practices, safety, all those good things. With the market dipping, it's become a lot more important for us to have open houses as it was in the past. So before we get into today's presentation, I'm going to bring on Bill Seitz from Clearview Mortgage, as well as Cameron Alley from Clearview Mortgage. Bill, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Kevin. Doing outstanding. Thank you.
All right. And Cameron, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Kevin. Good to be back, guys.
Absolutely. I had a little glitch last week with Cameron. I didn't see that he was trying to get into the webinar, and unfortunately wasn't able to bring him on, but we've got him today. So
That's
welcome.
all right.
Welcome back, Cameron.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And then right before we get into today's presentation, I wanted to just welcome a few of our new agents. We do have a couple new agents on the line. Dennis Barato just joined us yesterday. So welcome, Dennis. And Jeff Novikoff's a new agent with us. Welcome, Jeff. And a lot of our, of course, regulars are on the line with us. And it's great to have all of you. Elena, she's a new agent with us. And so always good to have our new agents with us, as well as our regulars that are always with us every week. So welcome, guys, and looking forward to today's webinar. So Cameron, what do you got for us today?
All right, guys. So we've got quite a bit to go over today. We have some good news as far as rates, and with the market kind of softening, definitely helping more people qualify. So let me see if I can. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can, sir.
The Cameron Alley Home Loans?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Wonderful. So mortgage rates dropped to the lowest they've been since April last Thursday. And what's crazy is last week marked the largest one-day drop in mortgage rates since 2008. So really helped us get a pretty significant improvement on pricing. Rates did bounce back on Friday a little bit. Usually whenever there's a big drop, there's always a little bit of a market correction. However, this week, so far this morning, they've gone down. Monday, Tuesday, they also went down. So we've gotten back to those recent lows. But to put current rates into perspective, we were at, about 3.4, 3.5 on the 10-year Treasury. We're all the way down now to 2.772. We were down to 2.6 last Thursday. So as I said, they did go up a little bit, but we're 200 basis points off the highs, which is a huge improvement. That's more than half of a percentage point on rates. And I'm going to show you guys, I got about 5 different deal scenarios priced up, and I'm going to try and show you guys every week exactly verbatim where rates are at. So after the large rate drop last week, there was a bunch of new corporate bonds hitting the market. And what these do is they kind of decrease demand among bond buyers simply by spreading it out to like a larger menu of potential investors, which brings bonds up. However, the more bonds that corporate investors and the Fed start selling off that they picked up during those COVID lockdowns, the less bonds we're going to have to worry about being sold at a later date. So basically, every single time right now that you see rates jump up at all is actually a good thing because we're getting closer to having a regular bond market and have like a gradual rate decrease with less volatility. So instead of like them going down one day and the next day you're looking to lock and they shoot up, we're going to see less of that as more of these bonds get sold. Above all else, bonds and rates improved so much over the past few weeks, especially the last 7 days, obviously, just like I talked about. There must certainly be little bounces, just like I talked about with when the Fed is selling off those trillions of dollars of bonds that they still have. I think they've sold off about a third of them, maybe a little bit more at this point. But with the incoming economic data that we have over the next couple months with like the negative GDP growth, that's what's going to end up telling the whole story and really see exactly where we're going to go with these rates. I presume and estimate, just like we talk about every week, that rates will continue to come down as this data is taken in and analyzed by investors. With companies beginning to lay off some employees, like in June and July, we saw the most corporate layoffs since we've seen since the first month of the pandemic, which was definitely one of the contributing factors to this rate drop. But what's most interesting about all this that's going on is that the market reacted by buying bonds and actually lowering rates to the Fed's announcement of increasing rates. So the Fed said, hey, we're going to increase rates by 0.7% of a percentage point. And right now rates are the lowest they've been since April. So that's kind of one of the things that we've talked about on this webinar before about how, the Fed can say, okay, well, this is what rates are going to be. But at the end of the day, it's about what investors are doing. And if investors feel like there's problems in the economy, they're going to buy bonds because historically buying bonds is what people do when you're in a recession, because they're just like a safe investment. So with those with those 2 quarters of negative GDP growth, we kind of expect, especially next quarter, if it's negative again, we're going to see these rates go down as they historically have during recessions. So just to put into perspective, if I show you the 3-month 10-year Treasury Mark right here, we were all the way up to 3.48, and it's just been kind of a gradual decrease. But you see how every time it goes down, there's that spike, just like I talked about, right? So those are just like little corrections. But every single time you see those spikes, that's when the Fed is selling off those bonds that they purchased to help rates go down before. So every single time you see a spike, that's a good thing. And generally, we're going to see more dramatic drops with every spike. At least that's what I'm thinking. So, but anyway, so this is right now our conventional rates. Remember, I think it was the last time I was on it 3 weeks ago, and we were at 5.75 on conventional. So right now, no points. We're at 4.924. You can get to a 4.75 for only $3,500. So huge improvement. That is, man, what is that? About $300 less of payment per month. So as the house prices soften a little bit and these rates go down, a lot more people are going to be able to qualify. So this is our conventional right now that we're looking at. This is our jumbo pricing. So we were at 6.25 3 weeks ago when I went over this, and now we're at 5.456. So once again, another huge improvement. And as a side note, guys, on these large jumbo loans, depending on the size of the loan, we can definitely, if you're having a buyer who's having problems qualify, we have some margin on these loans to help you out and try. We don't really have it on the smaller loans, but this stuff can be played with a little bit to try and get someone maybe a little bit lower rate to help them qualify if there's something going on. Or let's say a bank is offering something that usually we beat the banks, but let's say that maybe they have a really good relationship with a bank and they're offering something, we can usually get lower than them since we have a little bit of wiggle room on those large loans. And then I wanted to go over some FHA and VA stuff because I haven't really shown you guys this. So right now, this is a FHA purchase, 3.5% down. No points right now is a 4.25 for an FHA purchase. And this is with 680 credit. So I did this with like a realistic pricing scenario. So that is quite an improvement. I think we were at 4.875 before, now we're at 4.25. And something that some people may not know about FHA and VA loans is that obviously most of your buyers right now, they're going to be looking to refinance when rates go down. And one of the things that you can kind of put in your arsenal to conversate with buyers about is that these FHA and VA loans, you can do streamlined refinances where there's no appraisal, there's no income, there's nothing. They just basically let you drop your rate. It takes about a week for us to get done. So, let's say rates go down again to the 3.25 region or something, we can get them into that if they're in an FHA loan and they don't have to go through the whole qualifying and all the craziness. So obviously you have that mortgage insurance that's associated with that. But for somebody who maybe is self-employed or somebody who maybe thinks that they're not going to show as much income in the future, this is a good way to set yourself up for refinance in the future. So that is our FHA pricing right now. This is also an FHA loan, basically just with 10% down. The MI obviously is a little bit cheaper, but this is kind of what I was saying. If you have somebody who's self-employed who maybe is barely qualifying, they're definitely going to want to refinance in the future, and they can't put that 20% down, you can get them into an FHA. And let's say last year they claimed a lot of income, but next year they aren't. Well, good news, you can still refinance because you got an FHA loan. So just something pretty interesting for you guys to know. And then as far as VA right now, this is a VA loan, nothing down, no down payment. we're sitting at a 4.229. We were sitting at almost a 5% on the VA 3 weeks ago. So another huge improvement, about exactly actually $300 cheaper per month for your buyer. So basically what I'm saying is rates are a lot better. We probably, I bet you we opened up the market, I'd say probably 10% as far as 10% more people qualifying than were kind of pushed out of the market previously with that rate increase. So lots of good news today. And I think that's pretty much all I have, unless anyone has questions or Bill wants to add something.
Yeah, that was a really good review, Cameron. It's good to have you back. You know, I think if you have buyers that were on the sidelines, or kind of, you know, especially FHA or VA buyers, or really anybody for that matter, now is a good time because rates have pulled back significantly. And I think it's important that, you know, as realtors, you convey this to your clients. This is a reason to pick up the phone, because, you know, you see in the news or you see on the, you know, the local TV, oh, you know, the Fed raised rates. But as we've learned here and when we've reviewed, just because the Fed raises the federal funds rate doesn't necessarily translate to higher interest rates. And, you know, it is tied to the bond market. And so, you know, that gets a little technical, and it's probably language that most people don't, you know, yeah, that's okay, because it takes maybe a while to understand that, because it does get a little bit complicated. But the reality is the bond market has more influence than the actual Federal Reserve. So that being said, you've got people that are maybe like, oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to put my home purchase on pause because they think the rates are, you know, so high. But really, we've seen a massive pullback. And with inventory getting better, not as many people competing in the marketplace. Well, if you can get an FHA buyer at 4.25 or, you know, low fours, that's pretty darn good. And that's a 30-year fixed loan. Somebody who's stable with a job, got good income, they want to get in the market, and they were, you know, maybe squeezed out 6-12 months ago. Right now is an incredible opportunity. You might even get a little discount on the purchase price, have a little better negotiating power, and get a fair interest rate on the financing. So that's just something that I would keep in mind if I have buyers right now, for you agents. And then Cameron, why don't you put up your homepage there? You know, if you guys need to get a hold of Cameron, please reach out to him. He's an exceptional loan officer for us at Clearview, and he can get you pre-approved or get you a DU, you know, approval, whatever you need, pretty damn quickly. So is your information up there, Cam, your phone number and stuff?
Oh yeah.
I'll put it in the chat just so that people have it. But yeah, to add to what Bill said, we definitely went through, I'd say probably a 2-month stretch where it was really hard to get people qualified because of the pricing of the homes, obviously, and rates. But definitely right now, I bet you almost anybody who might have been denied that had good income, that, you know, it didn't really make sense why they were, now there's a chance that they probably will qualify, because historically right now rates aren't even bad historically. They were a little bit high a few months ago when you're talking about the average of the last, like, you know, 15 to 20 years. But now we're in a pretty good spot. So definitely reach out to anyone who maybe you were having issues with before, or anyone that was kind of on the sidelines, and I'd say that there's probably a deal there now. So, but yeah. I'll put my number in the chat.
Perfect. And, you know, that's just like, you know, for me on the marketing side and on the communication side, and, you know, I'm just, you know, jumping up and down saying, hey, you know, this is a reason to call people, right? This is a reason to get information out there. This is why you are the respected realtor that you are, because you have this information. You study this stuff. You listen to Cameron. And so you're able to convey that stuff to your clients. And it's just a very powerful tool. So, you know, don't discount this stuff. And this is just, you know, we're always looking for reasons to contact people on our list and people that are in our queue. And when we have things like this that are powerful, you are providing value. You're not just calling them up, hey, how's the kids? How's the cat? You know, you are providing value. And sometimes we have to make those calls. How's the kids? How's the cat? You know, but this is the real stuff. This is like why you deserve to be a realtor and why you deserve to win their business, right? So really, really cool. And we do have a couple questions, and it looks like, Cameron, you are typing your answers for Eugene. and
Yep.
Albert, perhaps?
Yes, I am right now.
Okay, perfect. So we'll take care of that. Yeah, so thank you very much, Cameron. That stuff is
No
just
problem.
so powerful.
I will real quick actually touch on this FHA refi thing because it's going to be kind
Sure.
of hard for me to explain.
Okay, good.
So the townhome condo stuff, a townhome, that pricing was accurate. For a condo, it's about 1/4 of a percentage point worse. But if you have any questions on that, you can always call me. As far as an FHA refi, I think it's kind of important for your clients to know. If you're getting a cash out on an FHA loan, it's just like a regular loan. You got to get an appraisal, you got to get an income, you got to do all that stuff, right? But what I was talking about, that streamline, if your clients are buying an FHA a home right now with an FHA loan and rates go down by 0.5 point, they're eligible for a streamline refinance, where basically you'll have no income, no appraisal, no nothing. It takes a week. It's the easiest refi ever. All you need is a note, a driver's license, application. It's literally a piece of cake, right? As far as the, let's say if you're trying to refinance an FHA loan right now, but you have a low rate on that already, you obviously wouldn't be eligible for that streamline refinance because it's not going to save you any money. So FHA and VA, what they do is basically, if it benefits you and it's going to help you have a lower mortgage rate, they'll go ahead and let you do a streamline. But that, I think that kind of sums up. Hopefully that answers your question, Eugene, and hopefully that gives a little bit more broad overview for everybody when I was talking about that streamline.
Awesome. Thank you, Cameron, again.
No problem, guys. I stopped sharing for you, Kev.
All right, perfect. So now we're going to switch gears to the meat of our presentation today, which is open houses. So the first thing that every agent has to decide is, when do you have your open house? Well, most people have them on Saturdays and Sundays, and that's for a very good reason. We do have stats from NAR that say 75% of agents actually choose Sunday as the best day. So really, really, good to know what the top agents are doing. They say, 75% of agents, do choose Sunday as the best day. And, some people say, Saturday, Sunday, it's not that big of a deal. But if you're going to choose between the two, Sunday does have a little bit, it seems like people are perhaps they are more apt to go and do things like look at open houses, after church or after, brunch or something like that. It's just very conducive on Sundays. So we do see slightly more traffic to open houses on Sundays. And then what time do you want to schedule your open houses? Well, stats show between 11 to 3 in metro areas are best. And if you're in the suburbs or somewhere that's more rural, it's appropriate to schedule your appointment or your open houses between 12 and 4 p.m. So, and that's due to, probably a little bit less traffic. And, in rural areas and suburbs, it's a little bit easier to drive around, right? Metro areas, a little bit more traffic. You want to keep that a little bit concise and stop it about 3 p.m. to make sure that people can get back to where they're going and not have traffic. So most important thing with open houses is, how do you market your open house? How do you get people to the open house? You can just, have an open house and be sitting there and nobody will come by. So obviously marketing is one of the most important things to drive traffic to your open house. So, posting your open house listing online is very important. So our data says that 93% of home buyers use the internet in their open house search, right? So with your agent marketing websites, your single property websites for your properties and your listings, we do have the ability to list that open house time on the website. So you can, send that out via, a lot of different vehicles to make sure that people see that open house. So obviously MLS, everybody knows that you can put in the MLS that you are having an open house. Very easy. That's just a no-brainer. Everybody can just do that. Nextdoor is a great kind of, I wouldn't say new, but it's a very, very powerful local thing that you can harness. So Nextdoor.com is a great little social network. So you can, post that you are having an open house in a neighborhood, right? Super easy. And that way people in your neighborhood, some people, they use Nextdoor. They love to see, updates on, garage sales and open houses and, events going on in their area. And, next door even has, information on, a break-in happened, three houses down and all that kind of stuff. So some people really check in with next door. And so that's a great avenue to possibly get some people to come into your open house. Then, of course, tons of people use Facebook. And so Facebook, we do a lot of training on Facebook and Instagram as well. And so it's a very easy thing to just post, hey, I'm having a open house this weekend. And it's not a bad idea to boost those posts. So boosting the posts, of course, means getting basically doing Facebook advertising, spending a little bit of money. And, you don't have to spend more than 10, 15, 25 bucks, but you're going to get that invitation and that announcement for your open houses out to a lot more people. So it's a really, really good idea to be able to do that. And, like I said, most people, they have their favorite social media account that they deal with. Facebook's massive. Some people just live on the thing. So a really good idea to make sure that you're getting that message out through Facebook. Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, always, they're kind of the devil, but yes, of course, you can post all that stuff there. So super important. Got a little comment here from Ann Harris, one of our top agents. She says, when you put it on the MLS, it downloads to all the search engines, of course. So that's super easy. You don't actually have to go into Zillow and Realtor and Trulia and all that stuff. You can, once you download that into the MLS, we have the syndication allowed. So that will be syndicated to all the other, all these bigger websites. So great point, Ann. Appreciate that. And then, of course, we'll have it. You'll post that on your website and blog. That's easy. A really good idea also is to know that there are certain people in the area that might be interested in that particular home that you've dealt with in the past. So it's not a bad idea to also do direct text messages, direct email, to singular people that you think might be interested. And so that's a really, really great, also a great way to get more people into this open house. And of course, these are all just little avenues. So it's like, the whole goal is to spread this giant net. And, somebody's going to come because of Facebook. Somebody's going to come because they saw it on Nextdoor. Somebody's going to walk in because they saw the signage. So it's just a giant, net that we're trying to create. So another best practice is to, in your single property website, of course, use very good quality photos. Bill sent me a stat the other day that said that something like 98% of agents use their cell phones to take pictures of their listings. I don't know where that stat came from, but that's scary. So don't use the cell phone for listings. Please get a professional. Again, that is just a reflection on how you do business. You're not just worrying about selling that property. You're also worrying about getting another listing and using this, these great images and drone footage and all that stuff to get the next listing. So don't cut corners and take cell phone pictures for your property images. That's a no-no. So also make sure that the house is nice and tidy. So Bill has gone through this a few times on a couple of webinars in the past. You got to have the beds made. You got to have everything tidy. You can't cut corners there. It's got to look presentable, right? And you can't have clutter. You really got to, spruce that place up. Make sure it's really, really a good showing, right? And then, of course, when you're doing the posts to social media, it's a great idea to use relevant hashtags. So, hashtags like open house, curb appeal, house hunting, ocean view, location. And then, of course, use even more hyper targeted hashtags like open house, San Clemente, or open house Irvine, or wherever the city is where you're doing the open house. So that's just, extra. And it's just a really good idea. It's a good best practice. So also use signage, right? Physical signage. directing people to where the open house is. This is, real estate 101 going back way back. So that nothing's changed there. We still have to do that. One thing that's great about our open house signs and so forth now is we can incorporate QR codes on our open house signs. We can incorporate QR codes into our on our for sale signs. And we can also use text messaging. We can use our text messaging systems, say, text the word, and sells to 79564 for information. So you can have those things even on your open house signs that are down the street. Somebody might not make it to the actual house, but they saw that the open house sign. They're busy right now. They're like, I'm not going to go to that, but I want to scan that and see what that house is like, right? So why wouldn't we do that? It's a really good technology. So incorporating QR codes and text messaging in your open house signage is massive. So don't discount that. And I'll include the link to this. This is a great article. I'll include the link to this article. You guys can read all this different, this stuff, really good stuff. And then this is one of my favorites. Use your nosy neighbors to spread the word about the open house. So I think the best practices is before you do an open house, walk the neighborhood, tell the neighbors what's going on and when you're going to be doing this. Give them a small welcome kit, a client welcome kit. Explain to them who you are. Let them know that what your services are. Don't bug them, but just, let them know what's going on. It's just, that's not being, pushy. That's just giving them good information. Hey, just wanted to let you know we're having across the street, we're having an open house. You want to come over and check it out, see what that property's worth. I can give you a good CMA on what your property's worth if you're interested. Just a good conversation starter, right? And then clean up, okay, we already kind of did this, but yeah, clean up everything on, even the yard, make sure everything's tight, a deep clean, declutter the spaces, all those things are just really, really important to make sure that you're going to have a really, really good open house. So those are kind of the basics. Like I said, I'll include this link. But now I want to shift to being safe. Okay, so open houses are, an opportunity for possible criminals to rip you off, right? So there's a few different things that you want to do to maintain your safety as a real estate agent when you're doing these open houses. You don't want to be vulnerable. So if possible, you always want to have two people working with you at the open house. That definitely reduces the exposure and the danger risk. So if you can have two people working the open house, that's great. Invite one of the Clearview Mortgage agents to come over and explain mortgage rates, all that kind of stuff. So those are really good ideas, right? Check your cell phone strength. Make sure you have full cell phone power. You've got emergency numbers pre-programmed on speed dial, ready to go if something happens. And then when you're entering the house for the first time, check all rooms, determine several escape routes. Make sure all deadbolt locks are unlocked to facilitate a faster escape. Make sure that if you were to escape by a back door, you could escape from the backyard. Frequently, high fences surround yards that contain swimming pools, hot tubs, other things that you can't get get past very easily. So always literally know your escape route. It sounds kind of crazy, but this is the way you stay safe. The percentages of agents that have problems with open houses are very low, but you don't want to be one of those stats, right? You just want to be ahead of the curve and you want to know what you're doing to make sure that you stay safe. So have all open house visitors sign in, ask for a full name, address, phone number, and email. Sometimes people are going to give you a fake one, but at least you're taking that step and you're getting rid of people that if they're not interested and they're just a true looky-loo, that's going to also boil it to a head. And they're like, you know what? No, I'm not interested in giving you my information. Okay, well, I don't want to work with you, right? Be very assertive about that. Number 6, when showing the house, always walk behind the prospect. This is a really good technique, guys. So direct them. You don't walk into a room first. They walk into the room first, right? Lead them. Say, for example, the kitchen is on your left. Gesture for them to go ahead of you. They are always ahead of you. You're watching them. You're not letting them be behind you. Okay, so that's a really, really good best practice as well. Avoid attics, basements, and getting trapped in small rooms. If there's a basement, say, go on down there, go check it out. I'm going to stand up here, right? That's also a really good technique. Notify someone in your office, and in fact, several people in your office, as well as friends and relatives that you're going to be calling every hour on the hour. If you don't call, they're to call you. Really good technique. Inform a neighbor that you'll be showing the house and ask if she would keep an eye or ear if anything out of the ordinary. And then don't assume that everyone has left the premises at the end of an open house. Check all rooms, check the backyard, lock the door prior to locking the doors, and be prepared to defend yourself if necessary. So there are a few different things. We had, I think about a year ago, we had a great gal come on one of our webinars, and she had a few different, things like mace and things like, strong flashlights and, different things that you can use to protect yourself if you do come into contact with, an assailant. I've got a note here from Ken, and he says sellers should not be present during an open house to avoid their interaction with potential buyers. You don't want them passing on information that could be detrimental in their sale. That's a great point, Ken. I appreciate that. Yeah, some people want to be there at the open house. You have to say, why don't you go take a couple hours off, take a nice afternoon, go down, get some lunch, go to the beach, go to the park. You're going to handle this for them because, Ken, you're right. They might pass on information. And so you, as the professional, you know what to ask. You know what to how to direct these people. That's a really good point as well. So, and then also really quick, in our agent marketing system, when we have our property websites, we have the ability to put the open house times on the website. You just go ahead and literally fill it out here. And then if you'd like, you can go to what's called Looky Leads. Agent marketing has a little thing called Looky Leads that allows you to register the people as you come in digitally on your, on a cell phone or on an iPad. So that's a really good thing to do as well. And then if you want to just download this little sign-in sheet, you can download, these two little layouts of sign-in sheets, and people can just sign in as they come in. So that's easy as well. So those are the best practices for open houses. Bill, do you have any comments or anything to say about the open houses as we close?
Yeah. I used to do a million open houses, used to do them every Saturday, every Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
And the people that I learned real estate from were always of the philosophy, especially in a market that takes the days on markets a little bit longer than normal. And it's not quite what it was a year or two ago. And, things are taking maybe 45, 60 plus days to sell. The more people you can get through the property, the more eyes on it, the more opportunity you're going to have to sell it. Right. So keeping that in mind, we need to use these various, a lot of it's technology now as far as getting people to have the awareness of the open house, and also, when to go and all that. So I think I do like the next door. That really wasn't a viable piece of technology.
No.
When I used to do these things every weekend.
There were dinosaurs running around then, buddy.
Yeah, and the Facebook thing's really good too. It's just, so those are newer, ways to get lots of different eyes on it to promote the crap out of it and to get as many people through, because you don't open houses, you're going there to either meet prospective buyers or new clients, and there's no point in going there for 4 hours if you're just going to have one sign on the corner and nobody shows up.
No.
So I think that it's really important to be mindful of making it an efficient, worthwhile piece of time or a time block, because your seller is leaving the house most likely, and they should be leaving the house. but you want to make that the best use of that time. I do agree with Sunday being probably the best. I feel like Saturday's still kind of a extension of the work week in the sense that people are either taking kids to soccer games, they're doing maybe different activities, they've got maybe birthday parties or whatever. Sunday does seem to be more of a leisure, let's stop in, honey, let's look at the house, we like this neighborhood kind of thing. Doesn't mean Saturdays can't be great, because sometimes people do come in after the soccer game or whatever, they've got the kids in tow. But I kind of generally agree with that stat. What else? The safety, I think, is something that's not a fun topic for everybody, but the reality is that the world's kind of a crazy place, and it's gotten a little crazier. And I think people that are opportunistic are going to potentially take advantage of opportunities, right? So we just have to have an awareness there. I'm not trying to scare anybody or convince them not to do open house, but you do need to be aware of all this stuff and be aware of your surroundings, and just make sure too your sellers know to put away all their valuables. Obviously, that's part of the disclosure process when you take a listing, but you just want to remind them, hey, if you have anything of value, if you have any firearms, if you've got anything in the house that could be of something that somebody would want to take or potentially steal, you want to get those things securely secure or out of the house completely. And so that's kind of my review.
That's perfect, Bill. I appreciate it. And then before I let everybody go, we do have some great news. We just launched our escrow company, Legacy Escrow, and we've got an amazing escrow officer, Raquel Bauer. And so we'll be bringing Raquel on next week, and we'll be introducing her. And this is a really exciting thing for Alta Realty Group. So looking forward to, bringing Raquel into the fold. She's part of the family now. She's a great woman. I think you guys are going to really get to know her and like her. And so that is a really exciting thing for us.
Yeah, 100%, Kevin. Raquel brings a wealth of knowledge to the escrow business, and we're really excited to really tie this together and make it an efficient platform for everybody for their real estate transactions and getting paid and having an amazing escrow officer. So this is just great news.
Heck yeah. All right, agents. Well, thanks so much for being on the Wednesday webinar today. And we look forward to having you all on the Wednesday webinar next week. With that, get out there and make it a great week and a productive week. And we will see everybody next week on the webinar. Thanks a lot.